just-in-time delivery. So I'm going to read the definition of just-in-time delivery, which is a system that aligns production schedules with the delivery of supplies. And these systems are meant to increase efficiency and decrease waste. So the system was developed by Toyota actually back in the 1970s by someone called Taiichi Ono. So when we think about just-in-time delivery, your forecast would need to really be pretty accurate, right? Because it's actually the behavior of the final customer or our end consumer that would dictate the level of the forecast. So you could say that it depends on the decision of our end customer or end consumer that drives the resource requirements and the resource availability. So let's think about the delivery of resources in our personal life. So when we want something, actually the only reason we want something is because we do believe that we will feel better in the having of it. That's why we want something. So the thing is that when we think of what we want, most of the time, especially if it's something that we really want, we don't know where the resources are going to come from. We don't know where we're going to find the money, the time, the people, the ideas, and the opportunities. And then what tends to happen is that we then stop pursuing it because we don't know where the resources are going to come from. And actually we tell ourselves, or start telling ourselves, that we don't really want it. But that's not true. We actually still want it, but we then start to push it deep down if we don't believe that it's possible. And that causes a lot of frustration and unhappiness, right? The thing is, you will always keep wanting it. You've just stuck it away because you didn't understand how to get it. So we are actually goal-seeking organisms. We are part of nature, and nature is always growing and expanding. It is either creating or disintegrating. So being part of nature, we need to be creating something. And we need to be moving towards something that we want. And the thing is that we're not going to know how to do it because it is new and it's likely something that we may not have done before, definitely haven't done it in the way that we're wanting to do it. So we're not going to know how. And that's absolutely fine because we're going to learn on the way to achieving our goal how we're going to do it. So the thing is that when you make a decision, that is when the resources will come to you. So think, if you wanted to buy a car, you don't need, and you're thinking of buying a car, you don't need the money to buy the car until you've made the decision that you're going to buy the car. If you want to buy a house and you're just thinking about it, you don't need anything. It's only when you decide that you're going to buy a house that you need the deposit and the mortgage for that. If you want to go on holiday, maybe you want to go away for a weekend to Paris. If you're just thinking about it as something you want, but you haven't decided that you're going, you don't need anything. You don't need a plane ticket. You don't need a hotel. You don't need a transfer. You don't need a suitcase. You don't need any clothes to pack. You don't need any spending money. You don't need anything until you've made a decision. So everything boils down to the decision that you're making. And then once you decide, that's when the resources will come to you, because that's when the ideas will start to come up and you will start to entertain those ideas because you've decided that you're going to do it. So you're going to notice these ideas and you're going to start becoming aware of them. Whereas unless you've made a decision, the ideas may even come up, but you don't really, take them seriously or entertain them because you haven't decided that something's going to happen. So really, that's all it takes, just a decision. Decide what you want, decide that it's going to happen, and then ask yourself, how can I do this? Right? It feels way better to ask yourself, how can I do it, than to tell yourself why you can't, right? Way, way better feeling, much more empowering. And remember, I do say this quite regularly. The thing is, if you can think it, if the idea comes up in your mind, you can do, be, and have it for sure. Because if you couldn't, then that idea would not have come up, right? You already have everything inside of you that you need for things to happen, for what you want to happen. But you've got to decide that you're going to do it. So decide on what you want, decide you're going to make it happen, and then move forward. Because you've got to be creating. If you're not creating, you're disintegrating, and that does definitely not feel good. All right, already done. So next week, we're going to talk about logistics and actually logistics moving from A to B. And we'll touch on why goals are so important and what is actually the real purpose of goals, right? So I'm really looking forward to seeing you next week. Hope you enjoyed today. Enjoy your lunch. Bon appetit.